afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We just two of us. Here we are. We are principal security researchers at Kaspersky Lab. So Igor Sumikov.
Hi.
And my name is Serge. So we are principal security researchers, and what does it mean? It means that we are making forensics, we are making the reverse engineering, we are making the incident responses on a lot of cases. So APTs, financial threats, and blah, 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 blah. But during our daily job, we got some, mind-blowing cases. So completely outstanding. And during preparation for SAS, we choose the three major stories that we saw during last year. So three stories about black box magic, drilling, and ATM. So the first story started in May 2016, and actually we already present something on our secure list website. So it's about the PowerShell. It's about how criminals were able to successfully attack financial institutions and enterprise networks around the world. And during this penetration, they haven't used any malicious binaries or scripts or something like that. They were injecting the PowerShell directly to the Windows registry through the task scheduler or the standard utilities. Plus, what was once again interesting, that criminals were able to dig tunnels inside corporate networks through the standard Nutshell utility. And that's how they were able to gain access to anything, to any computer inside the network without any malware. But why? So that was the question, and now we're ready to answer this question. So the case was about the money and attacking the ATM. And this request was really funny. So the request from the bank was, guys.
As usual, no money.
No money.
The ATM is empty. And there are no samples on the ATM, and the logs of the ATM are empty. All the system logs are okay, nothing suspicious, but still there's no money. And the question is, well, guys, there is a suspicious text file in the temporary folder, and it's called KLTXT. Does it have to do anything with you guys? Are you involved?
Yes, so they asked us, are Kaspersky Lab involved in this incident with the ATM? So we asked for details, and the bank sent us photo of the content of this file, and it was amazing.
So while there were no system logs, there was actually a very extensive log of the malware, and it was literally writing a log line for any action that it was doing. And there was a very nice catchphrase in it, by the way.
I'd like to zoom it. So nothing but except this nice message. And what we've done next, we started to do our regular job, and we've started to create the YARO rule for VirusTotal, and we were waiting. We were waiting for
20 hours, no more.
And this is the incredible YARO rule with incredible signature.
You need to go to a special trainee to be able to do it.
And there is the submissions. So after several hours from two countries, so we learned that several banks were suffering from this malware. And we started to analyze it. So we went to the real ATMs and started to look what this binary is actually doing. So this is a DLL file, and we need to start it through the regular routine.
It's very small DLL file, and it doesn't do anything itself. It has to be commanded from the command line, and the attacker has to invoke the DLL and write a text file that contains the command. One command in a file. And every command instructs the DLL either to open the dispenser, to initialize the whole dispensing subsystem, get the information about the cassettes, and then eventually just dispense the money out.
Yeah, so as you can see, we're just manually transferring the echo command to the malware, to the special file. And 3, 2, 1, lights, lights, lights. Yep, so this is the one backnet that we requested, and the wonderful message, catch some money.
It's there.
Yeah. So what was the summary of this fileless attack inside the bank, and what does it mean for the ATM? So for the ATMs, that means that it works with any ATM because of the...
It's really universal. It doesn't need to know what the vendor is because it's using the universal layer provided by Microsoft API, the MS XFS API. So you just feed it with the name of the dispenser device, and that's it. It is able to work with any vendor.
Yeah, so as you saw, we're manually passing the commands to this malware. And in the real world, it will be done through the tunnels that will be implemented inside the banking network. And there was some speculations that we found the fileless malware for the ATM. And actually, that's not true. So there is a DLL file, there is some exe file that will start this malicious DLL file. And of course, whitelisting is going to be a solution. This is the story about testing, pen testing, and grabbing access to the ATMs through the banking network. But other case that was completely outstanding happened with the black box magic. Once again, there was a request from the bank, and there was a suspicion that the black box was plugged to the ATM, and ATM was dispensing money. Unfortunately, there were no CCTV cameras, so the attacker, he just placed the stickers, and they've sent us the hard drive for forensics.
And this time there are really no logs at all, no text files.
Yeah, no text files, no photos, just a hard drive. And unfortunately for us, we haven't found any logs about the opening the ATM to plug the black box. So for us, it was a mystery, and we asked the bank to physically transfer, it's really a heavy device, to the office, so we can look closer on this ATM. And what was, completely outstanding, that inside the deposit box, the safe box, where money are located, we found the USB hub. And inside this hub, there was plugged some device. So it's not a flash drive.
We thought maybe it's a new model of a black box, maybe wirelessly operated, but not really, but kind of.
So this device was USB Bluetooth dongle for a wireless keyboard. So, okay, we started to look on the hard drive once again, and we saw that there are actually drivers for the Bluetooth, and we were able to recover all the stages of this attack. So the first of all, attacker, he had access to the money, to the deposit box, but he plugged this USB Bluetooth dongle. Then he paired with the wireless keyboard. Then he was waiting for 3 months, and the 3 months is logs rotation for the ATMs. Then he placed the sticker and turned out this keyboard. He rebooted the ATM through the Control-Delete. Then he was booting inside the ATM desk. This is a special version of Linux operation system for testing.
It's a kind of service mode. So you can reboot in that service mode and do whatever you like. For example, dispense all the money for testing purposes.
And that's it. So after this discovery, we decided that we need to give him a medal, like professional smartest. So the AT image, it's about the malware. It took maybe 2 weeks of the research and to write the reports for the banks about the fileless malware. So this case took like 1 week, several days. But the third case, that was amazing.
It's a true hard work. Everything involved in drilling is physical work. So we had to invest much more resources into this case.
And I hope you will like the story how this research project started. Request from the bank. And
it's a story. It's not actually a request.
Yes, it's a story. Okay, so go on.
So a bank calls us with a story about a guy who came in the daylight to an ATM, an outdoor ATM located near a bank office. And the guy was drilling a hole in the ATM. Well, but he was dressed as a construction worker, so nobody cared. Then a suspicious police patrol was coming by and they asked the guy for an ID. But the guy didn't quite do it, he just started to run away. And he was tearing something that he had with it and trying to break something down. And eventually he was captured. And as it turned out, he had a laptop, a cable, some small box, and a drill. But when he was detained, he didn't say anything. And everyone was puzzled, like, what's going on?
So for us, we tried to imagine this story in the middle of the day, and we actually asked a bank for details. And details came to us with the photos.
The guy looked like he came straight from the DIY shop. Very well dressed as a construction worker, and good drill and a special bit.
Yeah, and the whole video looks like an advertisement for the Bosch.
Isn't it an advertising? That's the real hole. It was done in the plastic case of the ATM near the pin pad, and there is some cabling going nearby. So that must have been the key, because then the guy started to stick his own cables in the hole and to do something with it. We first thought it was something unique, but then we started looking for it and found out that there are also some cases in Europe, but the holes are not so perfectly done. Still, they are running near the wires. So there must be something with the wires.
So we went to the ATMs, the real ATMs, and we were lucky enough that we have the same manufacturer, the same series of the ATM. And so the main question from the bank was
what the hell happened?
So when the guy was captured, the law enforcement, they were able to charge like a hooligans because he was physically damaging ATM. But why?
There must be some reason for it.
Some reason. So we went to the ATM in our lab and started to look closely on the photo and on the real ATM. And what we found that this connector on the...
There's a very long wire. It's going through the whole ATM and connected to many devices. And in the end, there is a board, and there's a name, SDC. What's that? We started to Google for it, found very little information, and found out that it's called the Serial Distributed Control Link. And it's actually a bus, same to the one you have in a car, that connects all the devices all together. But there is not much information about what is in the bus. So we started to find it out. First of all, it turned out it's not a serial protocol you can find anywhere. It's RS-485, it's more industrial thing. Okay, we found a converter connected to our serial USB adapter, but it turned out that it didn't work because the bus is not 8-bit, it's 9-bit. Okay, eventually we found out how to deal with it, then we collected all these 9 bits, and turned out that the data is encrypted. And the port speed is unknown, so we had to match both of these to get the actual bytes. But when we did all of that, we found out that the protocol is nothing that you find in common hardware, it's a proprietary one. And of course, the vendor will not disclose it. We had to decode it ourselves.
So in the end, we replied to the bank, guys, that looks like your construction worker, he's trying to make some dispensing through these cables. But it's too hard to reproduce the attack because there are challenges. And the bank replied to us like,
Good job, keep it up.
you will make it.
You'll
Come
make
on."
it.
Okay. So
We thought, okay, we're engineers, we can make it, probably.
Yeah, so we started to work hard, and all this job took like 5 weeks. So we were on the underground floor with the ATMs. We grabbed tons of coffee, cables.
And all the instruments that we had, well, it helped somehow. First, we started to find out what the wire, what the electrical component is. So we had to find out what the serial bus is and what the speed of the bus is.
Yeah, so the challenge to find the speed. Oscilloscope. Old-fashioned.
worked. So we found out the timing, the exact form of signal. Yeah, finally we found it out.
Yeah, so if we found out, and you can see the ones and zeros inside the bus. So the next challenge was to read hex.
Just read the data.
Yep.
So now we knew it's a serial bus, it's 9-bit, we connect a logical analyzer, get the 9-bit words, and try to find out what does it mean.
So that's what we've got.
But we're analytics, so we started to find some patterns and to put all these patterns down. And eventually we found out that there are commands that are sent by the computer, and every command is addressed to a particular device, and every device has an address. And we found the addresses of the printer, of the LCD screen, and then the dispenser. That was not enough.
Yeah, because after successful decryption, we saw that the protocol, it's really hard to understand. So we started to dispensing money with different amount of banknotes, and we tried to find some equation. An equation came to us with the following guess, that when ATM is receiving command to dispense you money, dispenser is deciding from which cassette, which number of banknotes he's going to dispense. So in this case, we got the multipliers, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the multiplier for the cassette. So if bank is requesting to dispense 15 banknotes, then what the dispenser is doing? It's 1 multiply 1 plus 1 multiply 2 plus 0 multiply 3 plus 4 multiply 4. So this is going to be equation, and the ATM will dispense you the amount of money which you require. So this equation works with 15, 90, 20, and 31. So we've solved this equation, so we are able to make the request to dispenser.
So we figured the command, but when we tried to send it to the bus, we failed. As it turned out, the bus itself is half duplex. Most of the time, the master controller, actually the PC that controls the ATM, holds the bus electrically, and you can't do anything. Even if you try to send anything, you will be muted. So we thought that a good old injection will help. So we found the conversation between devices and the computer and found a long enough sequence. So then we tried to pretend that we are sending a response from some device, but that response actually contained another command that is sent to the dispenser. And since all the devices on the bus trust each other, since the master is holding it most of the time, the dispenser accepted our command.
So at the end, we were able to find the right place to inject our command to dispenser, and this is actually like the SQL injection. Give me some money. And it was time to make a proof of concept that we are right.
We needed to test the whole idea. So
Yeah,
we
so-
needed to make a peripheral.
Yeah, so we need a developer. So this man on the photo, he's a developer. And I am supporter. I've got the flashlight. And of course, we need testing.
And we spent most of the time actually testing the thing because soldering the board is okay, but then you have to write the firmware that will actually make the injection and send the proper commands. And the problem is, every time you make a bug and send something wrong to the wire, the ATM reboots. And you have to wait another 10 minutes for it to boot again.
I was sleeping for 10 minutes, not more. So this is the device.
As it turned out, you don't need anything complicated to actually do the injection. We took one microcontroller, the one just we had in the attic. It's an 8-bit at Mega MCU, similar to the one in Arduino. We used a 12 megahertz crystal to match the speed of the bus. And we used an RS485 converter that you can buy very cheap, less for $1. Then we had an LED, and we set it up to send the data on a proper data rate. That's it. The product is ready. We even thought that it may be funded, but we're a bit afraid of potential shady customers. We don't want to meet them in person.
So at the end, we were able to plug this device to the ATM, and here you see blinks. Which means that we're able to inject our comment. And at the end, we replied to the bank that we were able to successfully reproduce the attack of this construction worker. So how does this look like in the real world? So that's me.
And that's the bus and the device. We didn't drill a hole in our ATM because we still need it and didn't want to break it. So we connected the wire to the same port inside the ATM with a long wire. But that's it. There are no other differences from the actual attack. We're powering up the device and waiting for a proper sequence of data on the bus to inject. Then injection occurs, and the dispenser starts to work. And that's it.
Yay!
But we are whiteheads and think that having such a device in the possession is too dangerous. So that's the only one that we have, and we would like to break it up.
This board. So in the hall, we've got the ATM in the reception. So
you just connect it, and that's it. You need a 9-volt battery, by the way.
But we are the whiteheads. So we think that this board, it's evil.
Too dangerous.
Too dangerous.
So
and what good man doing with the dangerous? Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on!
Too good soldering job.
Yeah! So that's it. We solved the problem, and we're done. Thank you.